Cool. So we're going to check out question 7 here. Question 7 is a calculus question. So 7.1, it's telling us given f of x equals 3 over x, determine the first derivative of it from first principles. So knowing the shortcut method, we can see ultimately what we're trying to go for. So if we were to bring this guy to the top, we'll have 3x to the negative 1. And then if we were to distribute this down, we'll end up with negative 3 x to the negative 2, ultimately leaving us with negative 3 over x squared. So this just helps to know where we're going to go. So if we make any mistakes, then we can orient ourselves and double check where we might have made a mistake. So our first principle formula is down at the bottom. So we're going to write this in. We have to write the lim the whole time. We only drop the lim right at the end, and then we would have solved for this guy at that stage. But we will lose a mark if we do not write the lim h with an arrow to the 0. So I've just written it down. So that means we can plug in our original guy into here. So the f of x, we need to add the plus h wherever the x lives in the original equation. So that means we're going to put 3 over x plus h over here minus, in brackets, 3 over x. We just put brackets just in case we have to distribute things. It's just a good common habit. And then h is at the bottom. So at this stage, what we want to do is we want to LCD things because it's a bit messy at the top. We're going to ignore the bottom for now. So we're going to times the x plus h all the way up here to the 3. And this x, we're going to times up to this 3 over here so that we can then put them over the same base. So we have 3x and we have minus 3x plus h over x in brackets x plus h. Then we're going to put that over h over here. So at this stage, at least we've simplified them so we have them over one bracket, but it's still not nice that we have two denominators and that things are stacked. So what we're going to do is we're going to tip and times this bottom h here. Right now, I just need to go back and write my lim for all of them because I would have lost a mark if I didn't. So at this stage, we have our 3x minus, I'm going to distribute this along, minus 3x minus 3h over x squared plus xh. I also distributed that there so long. And then if I tip and times this guy, it is 1 over h because it's dividing by h. But then what we're doing is if we tip and times it, it becomes times 1 over h. Okay, so at this stage, we're going to see that this next line is going to neaten up very nicely for us. So this 3x minus 3x, that gives us 0. So we're just left with a negative 3h at the top over x squared plus xh over here. And then timesing by 1 over h, the fact that it is cross-canceling, we could distribute it into this denominator at the bottom left. But what is easier is that there's an h over here, so we can cancel it and we can cross-cancel these two. Great. So at this stage, I'm just going to rewrite it so it's neater. So then we have negative 3 over x squared plus xh. And at this stage, we are done. We can drop the lim. By that, we make our h 0. So we basically substitute the 0 into this last remaining h. And what happens is anything times 0 becomes 0. And we are left with minus 3 over x squared. And that is what we want. That was the initial goal we were aiming for when we did the shortcut method, just to make sure that we got to the right place. Awesome. So we just earned 5 marks. Okay, great. So we just did 7.1. So 7.2 now, it says determine. So this is using the shortcut methods, 7.2.1 and 7.2.2. So we have our d of x here. We have the cube root of x squared minus x to the power of negative 3 over 2 over the square root of x. So what we need to do, there are two rules. We are going to unhat our cube roots and square roots, and then we are going to turn them into mixed fractions like this. We also don't want anything in the denominator, so ultimately we're going to take it up. But in this case, it's a bit messy because there are two terms at the top. So it is much easier for us to split the base and put it on both of these guys so we can simplify each of them individually, and then we can start to do our derivative, our shortcut method, in order to get the answer. So what we got is I'm going to unhat this guy in the first move. So we have x2 over 3 is this guy. So we unhatted it, it was x squared, and then we put the 3 at the denominator of our exponent, minus x minus 3 over 2. So we have those two guys there. And then what I'm going to do now in one move as well is split the base. So we have x to the half, because when we unhat a square root, it becomes x to the power of a half. And then this guy as well also has an x to the power of a half. We did this because it becomes a lot easier to simplify these guys by taking this denominator up to the numerator, this denominator up to that numerator, so we can then do our shortcut method. So what we're doing is we're going to minus a half at the top. So 2 over 3 minus a half x to the power of 1 over 6. Okay, and then this one over here, negative x, so we have minus 3 over 2, and then this guy is going to minus a half from there, so we're going to have x to the negative 2 over here. So at this stage, we have split the base, we have unhatted our square roots and our cube roots, and we have simplified them. So at this stage, we are then in the range to drop our derivative. So d of x was here, d of x, we can then drop it and times down the values. So what we do is we times this exponent down to the front, whatever number's in front, whatever sign's in front. So it's a positive 1. So anything times positive 1 is that thing. So we have 1 over 6 here, and then x is here. And then what we do here for our exponent is 1 over 6. We subtract 1 from there. So what we're left with is negative 5 over 6. And then again, what we have going on over here is negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And then this is still an x. X minus 2 minus 1 becomes negative 3. So we're just about done. What we have left is 1 over 6 times x to the 5 over 6 plus 2 over x to the 3, and that is our final answer. So your teacher is probably going to suggest that you always leave your answer with a positive exponent, but the prelims and the finals, they don't mind whether it is a negative exponent or a positive exponent. It's just good habit to leave it with a positive exponent. Okay, great. That was 7.2.1. So 7.2.2 is saying dy over dx if xy minus y equals x squared minus 1. So what we need to do is get the derivative of y. So we need to isolate for y. So I'm going to rewrite this one out here for us to start off. So this guy said d of x, which meant we're getting the derivative of x. But this one is saying get the derivative of y, and this might be confusing because we're not sure which one they're trying to get. But the subject is the thing in our numerator, the d of y. So the easiest way to get y by itself would be to factorize it out. So we take a y out, we're left with an x minus 1 over here, and this guy over here is x squared minus 1. So we've just isolated for y, and then we can divide it down at the bottom. So we have x squared minus 1 over x minus 1, and this equals y. So now we have y as the subject of our formula. And then what we need to do is expand this one into dots, because x squared minus 1 is dots, and we cannot cancel over a negative. We can't just cancel the negative 1 and the negative 1, or this x and part of that x. It doesn't work that way. So because there's a negative here, we have to split up our x squared minus 1 into 2 brackets, and that is dots. So we have x minus 1, x plus 1, and at the bottom we have x minus 1. And now we have exactly the same bracket, so we can cancel them, which we have, and therefore we're at a good range to do our derivative. So I was rewriting it here, x plus 1. Now we're going to take the derivative. 1 minus 1 is x to the power of 0, and anything to the power of 0 is just 1, and then any number without an x on it just disappears. So our derivative of this answer, dy of dx, for this one in terms of y equals 1, and that is our final answer. They don't care so much as far as the formatting. They don't allocate any marks for it on the actual rubric. So at this stage, we would be done and we would be good there. So now we're on 7.3. The gradient of the tangent to the function represented by f of x equals ax to the power of 3 plus bx squared at the point 1 and 5 is 12. So the gradient of the tangent. So we have a couple of things for calculus. What we have for our first derivative are two things. We have our turning points when we make it equal 0. So if we have a graph like this guy, for example, when we take our first derivative, we get this x value over there and this x value over here when we make it equal 0, because there is no slope at these points. The gradient, if there was a tangent going here, would be perfectly 0. The next thing we have is gradient of a point. What that means is we make that equal, our GOP, equal m. In this case, they told us that this is what we want. I'll talk about second derivative in another video, but for now, first derivative, turning point equals 0. That's coming up for this question, and gradient of a point equals m. That is coming up for this question, because it is a simultaneous. Both are 5 marks, which means there are some sort of simultaneous equation or substitution or something like that. But in order to start us off, the gradient of the tangent to the function, this guy, let's imagine it is this function, at the point 1 and 5, let's call it something like this. Okay, is 12. So this tangent would just go directly there, only hitting it once, not crossing through. I didn't draw that perfectly to scale, but it would just touch the point once, and it will have a positive gradient of 12. So what we know is that this point over here is 1 and 5, and this gradient has a gradient of 12. So this is telling us we have to do our first derivative, and we have to take the derivative and make it equal the gradient. So I'm going to do that along. Great. So the first derivative, we have 3ax squared. So I times the 3 down, I minus 1, and then we have plus 2bx. So what we need to do over here is we need to make this equal 12 because our first derivative gives us the turning point, or it gives us the gradient of a point. And when we see the word tangent, we have to know that we are going with gradient of a point. Cool. So we have set this up, and there's only one thing missing at this point because we cannot sub in this y value over here. But what we can do is we can sub in the x value because we know that this 1 over here exists on this initial cubic polynomial and the first derivative that represents the parabola. We don't know what the y is, and this y doesn't correspond with this parabola form because that equals the gradient over here. But we can substitute the 1 into our x, and then we have the first part of our simultaneous equation. So we have 12 here. 3a1 squared plus 2b times 1, and then we're just left with 3a plus 2b. And then what we're doing is that we have now got the first portion of our simultaneous equation, and this exists in our first derivative. But another way that we can solve or also get a and b, because 5 marks means simultaneous equation, is substitute value 1 and 5 into this equation to isolate for a and b. Because what we do know on our initial parent graph is that 1 and 5 is that intercept point with the tangent, and it does exist, both the y and the x value, on our cubic polynomial. So that means I can plug in the 5 over there. A is this, 1 to the power of 3 is that, plus b is there, and then x again is 1 squared. 1 to the 3 is just 1, and 1 squared is just 1. So we have a plus b equals 5. This is our cubic polynomial. This is our first derivative that gives us the parabola. And now we have our two setups for our simultaneous equation. So we are just going to isolate for them and then substitute the one into the other. So a equals 5 minus b over here, and then this guy we can just substitute our 5 minus b into here and then solve for it. So 12 equals 3 times 5 minus b plus 2b. 15 minus 3b plus 2b equals 12. Take the 15 over, so we have minus 3 over here. 12 minus 15 is negative 3. Minus 3 plus 2 equals negative b, and therefore b equals 3. So we have that, and then we can sub the 3 back in here. So we have a equals 5 minus 3, a equals 2. And we just showed that a equals 2 and b equals 3, and we got our 5 marks. Great stuff. So we just calculated 7.3.1, and now we are calculating 7.3.2. Calculate the coordinates of the points on the curve where the tangent to the curve is parallel to the x-axis. Okay. So where the tangent to the curve is parallel to the x-axis. Once again, they use the word tangent here, but what that means is, when we were talking about this, is that if something is parallel to the x-axis, it means that the gradient is 0. What we need to understand is that they are saying calculate the coordinates of the turning points. So we have the values of a and b. If we couldn't, or if we didn't calculate it in the previous question, we would just use these values a and b, plug them in here, and then do our first derivative, solving for our turning point. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to plug in our a as 2x cubed plus 3x squared, and this is our f of x. Okay. And then our first derivative is 3 times 2 is 6x squared plus 6x. Okay, so that is our first derivative, which means we just have to factorize things and take it out. So we can divide by 6 on both sides because there's a common 6, which means we're left with x squared plus x, and then we can take an x out. We have x plus 1. Because what we're doing is we're making this equal 0, because turning points equals 0, because the gradient at that point is 0. It is perfectly flat, perfectly parallel to the x-axis. So now what we have is just a quadratic equation, x equals 0 and x equals minus 1. Cool. But they didn't just ask for the x coordinates, they asked for the coordinate pairs. So we have to go ahead and plug in our x equals 0 and our x equals negative 1 back into the original parent graph, so we can then get our final answer. So we have 2 to the 0 cubed plus 3 to the 0 squared. This equals 0. So that coordinate pair is 0 and 0. And then the next coordinate pair is the negative 1. So we have 2 to the negative 1 cubed plus 3, negative 1 squared, and then negative 1 cubed is still negative 1, so we have negative 2, and then plus 3, negative 1 squared is positive 1, plus 3, and this answer is 1. So we have -1 and 1 over here, and these are our final answers, calculating the coordinates of the points on the curve where the tangent to the curve is parallel to the x-axis. 5 marks for the correct interpretation, and then the correct derivative and substitution back into the original. Okay, great job guys. Let me know if there are any questions in the comments below, and otherwise I will see you in the next video.